Bucher and me, they went to the Seeker every morning, and he saw us. So Yankee dude put in something into the place of Twittle. It takes out the Twittle and says, and he asked, I want to know who won the Yankees in the Mets. He starts following the Bucher, and he follows it till he comes to the Javier building. Comes to the building, and this Bucher, the Bucher with a small Yankee, goes out of the building, and goes into the building, goes on the fourth floor. This Bucher checks which number, house, and he goes out, takes a payphone, calls up 6 a.m. So in America it was 12, whatever, so it's 7 or 8, 12 o'clock at night, and he calls up his phone and says, who won last night? Yankees and Mets. The father starts screaming, sent it to Yeshiva to learn to know who won Yankees and Mets. Machzach Michigan. Says, Tata, I'm going to tell you later. Please tell me. So the father tells him, goes, finds out, and tells him, yeah, the Yankees won. This Bucher goes back. Walks up 4 flights and knocks into the door, and this guy opens the door, and he asks, "Who are you?" So, a messenger from God. The guy started, "Yeah, messenger from God. God sent me as messenger to tell you that the Yankees won the game." The guy almost fainted, and the guy said, "You a messenger from God?" And so the guy said to me, "It takes a $500, 45 years ago." And he says, this is for you, a messenger night. If I would have more, I would give you. Fine. Oh. Good. Let's see here.
9:30, you got 15 minutes, right?
Oh. Kitzer Master, so the guy, as he comes to the yeshiva, the whole yeshiva was in there. Went to everyone $500 to make Peter from the Bucher. And he was like the whole time that he made Peter from this book. Losing Finkel, the Yeshiva, found out about it. And afternoon, the Bucher goes over to this Bucher that the Yeshiva calling him. He knows soon as the Yeshiva put me on the table, and I'm practicing this one. And the Muslim tells him, I wanted to ask you a shalom. Tell me the story. So he starts staying in Chagamach Choizik from the Bucher. He says, what do you think? He says, what do you think? Chagamach Choizik from the Bucher. I came and I said, no, but that was Chodesh El. And he says, no, he was a powerful thing. The Irish there wanted to show you that even if a person asking a stupid nada shazach, he wants to know, it's a guy dicharan a cup of mishagas to chase this bucher, to pay a taxi driver 200 shekel, to call your father, a B, that this person and you should know that when someone asks something from the Irish there, tefillah on the scalp. When this is shot from Avodah from Rosh Hashana. And every tefillah, even the nash this tefillah, because Avad and Avad, the prayer from Asher Rokeach is. Emes the Gigash is. Get the Zach and Avad, the tefillah on the scalp. But even there was a story about Finkel about tefillah.
This is Emes the Gigash.
Nicht who won the game, Yankees and Mets.
Speak to me later.
There's a word from the Shem the Nis Vilusi, and that's the whole gedank for the Imam from the Balatanya. Nis Vilusi Lechu Hashem Hisorerus. So he touched us on Nis Vilusi. When I daven, if it's Lechu Hashem, if it's for the Eibishter, Hisorerus. That's Hisorerus. What's Shat? So the Gates are going to say, we're going to be master a little bit, and then we're going to learn inside. What's the Indian from the Avodah from Rosh Hashana? Avodah from Rosh Hashana is any from Binyan Amalchus. The Riyah Kudish calls it Binyan Amalchus. What means Binyan Amalchus? So the Riyah Kudish writes that the Eibishter, Kavyochel, the Malchus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu goes for 1 year. And after a year, the Rosh Hashana by night, it stops, the Malchus from HaKadosh Baruch Hu stops. What's Pshat? So it's, the explanation is Zubdari Kudish. When the Eibishter made the world, it became a Sris Lela'ayna. Odom Harishon was the first year. The Sris Lela'ayna from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said, I want to Ein Melech B'lei Am, I want to have a Falk, I want to have an Am. So the Eibishter made Malchus 1 year. But then, as it finished the year, he said, I want now you should show me that you're interested in me being Melech. What happens to us every year? The cycle goes the whole year. Kimon all the older Katrigim come, the Shuna by night, and the Sefer Kodesh Baruch Hu, they're screaming out HaMelech. Look what happened all year, look what they did. Look what they did all year, they're screaming HaMelech, but they don't mean it serious. But our avoid is to come to Shuna and scream out HaMelech, blow shofar, as we're going to explain in the Ma'ameh, that avoid is, we're Binyan HaMalchus. So we're going to see a little bit further. But the Emerson the kid is, we're speaking about tefillah, that's the Bashem Tov's word. Vanis filosi l'cho Hashem. We're davening on whole avodah Rosh Hashana is l'cho Hashem for the Eibishter. If our Steitzer, we're going to see in the moment that our avodah is also to daven by ourselves, because we want that Kodesh Baruch Hu, we want our the Eibishter's malchus should be also in our gashmis, as we're going to see in the moment. But in the beginning, the avodah is the Ariyah Kudish. There's an inyan from binyan malchus. Malchus Kodesh Baruch Hu goes for 1 year, and our avodah is to build the binyan malchus. So let's start from inside. Hamayim betoyles yom de Rosh Hashana b'dim Chazal. Yalem al tchosei kam v'kam en yonim klonim amirim oidus mes yom Rosh Hashana v'avidos. This avodah from Rosh Hashana. The dvarim der kamon yizbarer v'yizbayer kitz the korim yisa shel yom the ikr in the his on the day is the ikr avodah is tamlechin yalech. Then yes be gemara. The gemara sagt zu Rosh Hashana. Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Omer Lefone Rosh Hashana Malchias, say Malchias, Kadesh Melchin Aleichem, and should be Melech. The Chroinus, Kadesh Aleichem Tove, V'meh B'shoifer. So he explains, Avshen Emri kan Gimel in Yonim Klolim, Malchias the Chroinus Shoifer. Chazin Lefoish, Inna Malchias in Yachmem, Bekach Shein Rak Achas, HaBruches, HaMechedes, Tfilas Mr. Rosh Hashana, Yeshne in Yonim Nesofim, Ikorim, Yoyes, Shniskim, Shayach Hazayla. So he explains that there's Malchias the Chroinus Shoifer, Rosh Hashana. But we see that Malchus and Chroinus Shoivis, all three come to one thing, the inyan for Malchus. And as we see, the whole avodah from the Shuna, all the tefillos on the Shuna, is also about Malchus. And it says, Birchas Kedishas Hayon, the Ikke Broch and the Shmina Eser is, Meloich HaKol Oilim Kilabich V'decha. V'yede Kapok Yato, V'yalto, V'yom Kalash Nishom V'apoi, Hashem Elokei Yisrael, Melech, Machuz V'kom Shalom. And we finish the pusik Melech HaKol, that's also by Kiddush. Kiddush Yom Tov we say Melech HaKol is Mekadosh is Melech. So the whole thing is the inyan from Malchus. We don't see anything from Tshiva. We don't see about davening for yourself. We see the ganze avodah is Malchus. And then Tkiyah Shoifer. The Chazal called Tkiyah Shoifer Mitzvah Sayon. Koloimit. HaMitzvah Ikris HaMechedes L'Shashana. Chazina Shetoichen Ikri Pilis HaTav Menechini Aleichem. So he explains, he brings out from Psadi Gon. Psadi Gon explains. So what's the inyan from Shoifer? So he says, She'inyan Rishon Betoichen Mitzvah Shoifer She'onim Amlich Molenis Aboir. Sagt der Psadi Gon, Shechein Oisem HaMalochim Betchilos Machisam. She'toiken Lefneim Bechatzoitzrus Bekanis L'di Lashmi B'chol Mokoim Hascholos Machisam. So the Psadi Gon explains that what's our avodah through Shoifer? He says, the Meh Ibe Shoifer. What's the Meh Be Shoifer? Meh Be Shoifer means that how are we Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu through Shoifer? What's the Shaykh? Sagt der Psadi Gon. As by the coronation from the king, whatever, but the matzah when they make his mamlech the king, you take chatzoitz and you blow. Same thing as avodah for shoifer. So we see not only all the tefillos are malchus, the ikke mitzvah from the whole day from Rosh Hashana is also inyan from malchus. Bekach mashmish in yoni ikri shel Rosh Hashana vayvidoso mi ikri shel Yisrael boit amelchin aleichem lahamlech velahachtes HaKadosh Baruch Hu lemelech aleichem kol kilu. It's very interesting the solution from the Rashab from Lubavitch. He says that Rosh Hashana by night till we come to the avodah for shoifer, because the inyan ikr inyan malchus is when we come in the morning we say Hamelech, then when we blow shoifer. Till then, the whole world is vachalish, he calls it. It's like vachalish. The ganze Welt is royed, shakelt sich. It shakes. Why? Because the whole world is standing, all the maluchim, the ganze bria doesn't know. Are the Yidden gonna want that Eibishter should be Melech? Are they gonna scream out Hamelech? Are they gonna blow a shofar and bring out the malchus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu or not? So the ganze Welt is vachalish them, because they don't know what's actually gonna be the Mtachabit. So like we said, the Ikar Avodah, what he explains it, the Balatani, that the Ikar Avodah is, our Avodah from Rosh Hashana is, Ikar Avodah from Rosh Hashana is the binyan HaMalchus, the make HaKadosh Baruch Hu for Melech. Through what? Through our tefillas, through the shofar. That's our avodah. And our avodah is to cry out from the emes, from the tifon shel artzen, HaMelech, we want you should be Melech. Al pi Yisoid zeh. So he explains that. His body is by betiv loshen chomer, steht dir Shem b'motzi, eli soin bein Hashana Kpira. So we need to understand. It says in Chazal, Eli Asari Yomim, shebein Rosh Hashana v'Yom Kippur. Bein Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur, so one is going to count the days, there's only 7 days between Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur. So what's Pshit Asari Yomim? Says in Shiva. So says in Shiva is counting Sai Rosh Hashana 2 days and Yom Kippur. So the shal is, why do you say Aseres Yom shebein Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur? The explanation is, we're not going to see inside when it's what's the Toichen. The Indian is that Rosh Hashana has 2 avodas. There's avodah from Tshiva, Taka the avodah from tshiva, but more than the avodah from tshiva, the inyan from malchus. What's pshat? Tshiva attached. What means tshiva? Someone Chas Shem did aveir or didn't do a mitzvah. Got to do tshiva on that thing. So there's a melech. The melech is mitzvah something that you should do this or don't do this. And if you didn't listen to him, you got to do tshiva. But before there's a melech, there's no any from mitzvahs, there's no any from tshiva. Once there's a melech, there's rules how to fear a malchus. So our avoid Rosh Hashana is, the first thing is, it should be a melech. Like I said, that comes Rosh Hashana, I'm not sure I want to do it again. I did it 1 year, you batched up. I'm not sure I want to do it again. Kim and Yidin Shil, and they cry out HaMelech, we really want our pneumius, our heart, the emes the Yiddish think is, I want you should be Melech. That's our avoid from Rosh Hashana to bring. So before that happens, there's no any from Tshiva. So Enochanam, Rosh Hashana, there's an any from Tshiva also. That includes all the Seres Yomim, from the beginning from Rosh Hashana till after Yom Kippur. But the Iker avoid from Rosh Hashana is in the Tamlechin Alech to be Mamlech HaKodesh Baruch. Is when Gedem, Chazal say, Staka Seres Yomim. There's 10 days of Tshuva, including Rosh Hashana. But why do you say Bein Rosh Hashana and Purim? Because the Iker avoid from Rosh Hashana is not any from Tshiva. Like we say, we don't say Vidi, let's say Rosh Hashana. So we're going to see a little bit further why we don't say Vidi. But L'choyre, if it's a Seres Yomim, if it's the Sorry Yomim from Tshuva, so why don't we say, why is Rosh Hashana not the Iker? Why we say Bein Rosh Hashana and Purim? So the explanation is that the Iker in Rosh Hashana is not any from Tshiva. The Iker in is Tamlechin Alachem. We should be Mamach HaKodesh We should come to Shul, blow Shoifet, and be Mamach HaKodesh Baruch on ourselves. To say that I want you should be Melech. There's also an inyan from Tshiva, as we're going to see, there's also an inyan from Tshiva. But the Iker in Rosh Hashana is Tamlechin Alachem.
So why is it the 10 days then?
Oh, so we said, so Taka there's an inyan from Tshiva. But that's not the Iker. There's also an inyan from Tshiva, as we're going to explain. So the inyan, so let's include Rosh Hashana, the Iker avoid is Tamlechin Alachem. And after, once he's Melech Amos, it's shaykh to do Torah mitzvahs, the shaykh to do the inyan from Tshiva. So let's go to the next paragraph. Avoid the Tshiva Klolos Makdima. Inyan zeh, boli dei biti. Av boifen of the same of the Poil Berashon. Then, av shir Rosh Hashana echad min yemei ha-Tshiva. Loi metzini beprote avoid the seyoim shi aski bekach. Darai, the tfilis of HaKoshes do Rosh Hashana, ein is in Tshiva Klolos. Like I said, ein oim boi tachnen, vidi, eber kabonis Tshiva. There's no any from Tshiva on Rosh Hashana. We don't say any tfilis from Tshiva, any vidi, slach, luni. There's nothing what to say. So he explains, it's not Vina Makain, you're right. But since you can vidi, so he explains. So the Shechanurich Harav, Shechanurich writes, what's Pshat? The Pushat Pshat, not a Pipnimi. What's Pushat Pshat? Why don't we say any vidi? We're holding my court case, and we're standing there before the judge. If we're going to say the same, I did this later, the prosecutor is going to listen. He's going to say, you did this, okay, this. Why don't we clap this video, why we don't say? But he said, if the Iker Inyan avoided from Rosh Hashana would be Tshuva, even Takets is a nice poshut pshat not to give it for the Mekatr. But if that's avoided, if it's a mitzvah, then you gotta do it. We don't make cheshbonos for the Irish if the Mekatr is gonna listen or not. So Elamai, like we said, the Iker Inyan from Rosh Hashana is Tamlechin. In the Taket is a separate Inyan from Tshiva. V'apiyah now shavoid is achtoras hamelech Iker shel yom. How does it avoid? He explains. Ki kivish odem Torah d'avoid is achtoras hamelech. Betfilas b'koshes sheikabel ha'kishborch v'achtoras. Hay minach b'zeh b'chol yeshiso v'techira v'charodo mesrachshes gedoy l'vatzim azi. Rad, kashem zboyne shenoit lichelik b'zeh b'oifen ishi. So he's going to explain to a very starky sort. But Lamas, if it's like Dak asked, if it's in the Sorah Yom Shemein Shoni period, if it's Takadini from Tshuva, and you're telling me the what? The Iker avoid is Tamlechin. But Lamas, this guy from Machir. So the explanation that he wants to be Mazur, the Moedig is right. That Enochanam, we come to the Rosh Hashana and we say, I'm giving away my whole Rosh Hashana for one thing, Binyan HaMalchus. I want you should be Melech. What's with my Tshiva? What's with my Avaydus? What's my whole thing? I wish I'm forgetting about everything. I want you should just be Melech. A lot of times when you have two things, you have something that's so much stronger in the business, you say, okay, this I'm going to put on the side. I want one thing. I want that this should happen. So the ikar avoided for Rosh Hashana is Adarab. The tshiva happens by itself. Why does the tshiva happen by itself? If comes the Yid and he says, I'm forgetting about my problems. I'm forgetting about my tshiva that I need to have. I'm going to take the whole 48 hours and only think about it. Then, for starts, the tshiva is going to come on mind. Because I'm thinking about the bigger picture. I'm thinking about the Irish should be a melech. So again, so he wants to explain when a person takes himself away from the picture. If we're taking ourselves away, we say, Irish, that I want you should be melech. That's our avoidable. If you're going to take yourself away from the picture, that's the ikar avoidable in Ashuna. I does the ini from Shiva, Taka does the ini from Shiva. But more than that is the ini from Tamlechina Aleichem. That's the ikar avoidable. So a person's avoidable. But he says very interesting. He says that a person makes a cheshbon nefesh. That it depends on me. It's my cheshbon. I need to be Mamlech HaKadosh. And if I'm not going to be Mamlech HaKadosh, it's going to miss in the whole Tamlechina Aleichem. It's going to miss something. This is Nishmak Master. My father always says, the Lubavitch Rebbe, about there was a kid came in before the Bar Mitzvah. And he wasn't so from, and the Lubavitch wanted to explain what Yiddishkeit is. And the Lubavitch asked him, what's your hobby, what do you like? He said he likes the games, baseball games, Yankees and Mets. He says, which one of them? He says, Yankees. He says, no, tell me about the last game. He says, oh, don't ask. Gefährlich. He said, well, I was sitting there, and in the beginning it looked like the Yankees are gonna win, apples get down, but then started losing one after another. It's gefährlich. I couldn't see how my team is gonna lose, and I ran out of the room. Without chasing, how did you run out? The guys that were on the field also ran away. I said, no, I was watching. They were playing. Playing can't run away. Mavchar told him, I want to tell you, Yiddishkeit, every one of us is a player in the game. We're not watchers. The fans and the players. We're not fans, we're players. The Shashuna, as he explains, every Yid is a player. A lot of times we sit in the shiur, we say, oh, let's do the Bal Makra, let's do the Bal Koire, let's do the Bal Tvila. They're doing already the avoid.
The Gabe?
Do alle Sachen. But the ikar avoid for Rosh is that if we think about that, no, it depends on my Tamlechina Aleichem. It depends on me, then we really work on the Tamlechina Aleichem. We really work to make the Tamlechina Aleichem. So again, so we explained, there's a sorry Yom Shabbat Shana Kfir. The ikar avoid from the Rosh Hashana is Tamlechina Aleichem. I does the ini from Tshuva. So we said, the Tshuva is, a lot of times the Tshuva happens through by itself, because a person says, I'm not going to think about myself. I'm throwing myself away, and I'm thinking only about the binyan of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if that happens, then versteht sich the Tshuva can geschehen auch. So the ikar avoid is Tamlechin Aleichem, and the Tshuva happens by itself. But there's a little bit more deep in the Kiddah. I just saw
Isn't that
it.
a form of tshuva?
Oh, geweldig. There's Tshuva Mahava and Tshuva Meyir. And there's a Kiddah from the Lubavitch Rebbe, geweldig in the story. It says, the Rosh Hashana, we know Rosh Hashana, Bechlal, the Shaila is, we know the Brias Oilam wasn't Rosh Hashana. So how do we say Rosh Hashana? Zeh Yom Tchilas Masech. Brias Oilam was Chafei. How he says Tchilas Masech? The Lubavitch Rebbe was up in a brief, in a letter, such a powerful Kiddah. It says, Brias Odom Rishon was a Rosh Hashana. And a person could change the world. And if you could change the world, there's a new world. Zeh Yom Tchilas Masech. You change the world. If you're in the world, as a person in the world, he changes the world. Because that we can say,
Zug this story about going to the airport and the person.
Sorry, camera.
Oh. But,
I paused it.
so the Shiva Mahab. What's the shot of Shiva Mahab? So Zug about this Lubavitch, beautiful Kiddah. He says, now what means Shiva Meyir with Shiva Mahab? We know Shiva Mahab is a doinis nas kezochim. What's the shot? He says it's a beautiful Kiddah. We know that every Rosh Hashana person is the birthday, say not only is Binyan HaMalchus, it's a new Aschala, every person has a Leida Mechodesh, a new birth. So he says, what happens if a person understands that he has a naya gets born from fresh? So why does a person back up afterwards? Why? Because the person thinks, well, last year I was had. And I fell through on this, and I fell through on this. Macht he thinks about what was the past? How does a person make a naya leidem chodesh kipshita? It should be taku with a shtaikazach. He doesn't think what was before. So he explains as well. Rosh Hashana, we said the ikar avoid is not the tshiva. What's pshat? Because when we think about tshiva the whole time, we clap vidi, we attack on this and that thing that I fell through, and that thing fell through. You think about what you fell through, a lot of time you can't build yourself. But if you do the opposite, you go and you start thinking, I was born last year from Leidem Chodesh. What happened? What happened to me? The avoid of Rosh Hashana is not vidi. It's to think, what happened? How did I fall last year? How did I fall? So I'm making a red, I'm not clapping a video on it. I'm thinking, okay, so how can I make sure that this year I shouldn't fall in that? So he starts going through his year, he starts thinking about X, Y, and Z. How did I fall? How can I make sure I'm not going to fall? I don't clap vidi. Vidi, chat, I clap, I have charuta, what happened? If that's the whole avoider from charuta, a lot of times we stay by the charuta and you don't build yourself. If we take away the avoider from charuta, we take away the avoider from vidi, we say Rosh Hashana is a time you can build yourself from fresh. So what do? But the Rosh Hashana is also the end from tshuva, but there's other tshuva. The tshuva is to see how you fell and to make sure that this time you're not going to fall. What means doing nasa kazochis? How could it be doing nasa kazochis? How could it be taking the virus and make mezuchis? So it says, if the nikid is that I'm going to make sure I'm going to take that thing that I fell through and I'm going to build with that the bricks. So there's two things, he says. There's avoided from tshiva, vidi, charoto. That's avoided from Bein Rosh Hashana and Kfirim. That's avoided from tshiva. But then there's avoided from Rosh Hashana. Avoided from Rosh Hashana is tamlechini. I didn't from tshiva mahava. What means tshiva mahava? I'm going to think, I'm going to make sure I have a new birth. I'm Leidem Chodesh. So I'm going to go through my day-to-day life and I'll make sure I'm going to take the things that I fell through and build myself. He says, there's a binyan malchus makadosh baruch Hu. But there's the binyan malchus makadosh baruch Hu in you, in every person. Every person has an eigen binyan malchus to make sure that has a binyan malchus from the Eibishter. It's beautiful Nikida from Tshiva Mahava. What's that kedini from Tshiva? But now he's going to explain a little bit deeper. Noch deeper than Nikida. Yesh levai, the last line. Amkes yoisi, toichin avoides achtoros lamelech malos avoides Tshiva. So he says, "Tchilam nag levai malos avoides Tshiva." Masha bekoich lesaken, don't she Paul od mekim mitzvahs. How's a person do Tshiva and is in the second that a person didn't do the mitzvahs? In the mitzvah in the mitzvah Siri Melech, Li shaykhs od mekim mekim mitzvahs. Im kaim tirei kash bishboch. Im chashum over the mitzvah Melech. The poig mavse kasher. We know that a person has a connection, the Eibishter and the person. How do we have the kesher? Our kesher is through Torah mitzvahs. I do a mitzvah, tzafser and chidr. Aveda is a lotion from overcut. You get ripped off. You don't have any shaykhs like this bro. Gam beis shechot pogam. Also, when a person did chashum aveda was also had a pagam. Yesh bekoich aveda tshiva. Chadish to be mechadish the skashas. Ki aveda tshiva mezgal skashas now the miki yosh ein against a chet. Dinner. Chazin lo poid af kein shport man am olis gut bulem da is olis shiva. Mekash av beish vechzonis the sekes kaviyoch das kash mak gebogen. Ki yem stom das kash mit mir miki yosh ein against zu the chet. And the man is also mit shiva. So he explains as well. There's the inyan from Torah mitzvah. The person has a kesher to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through Torah mitzvahs. More than that is the inyan from tshuva. Then what? That person, if a tshuva can be mesaken, the Avera, if tshuva can be mesaken, that you didn't do the mitzvah, so the shteitzach tshuva is on a higher level. What pshat tshuva is on a higher level? It says a gewaldig in a kiddah. Because you see in Metzias, there's people chalshim that did all the Averas. And one day they say, well, I want to come back. What's pshat? How can it be? No one told them, no one spoke to them, nothing. And one day they woke up and they said, I feel empty, I feel need to come back to the Eibishter. What's pshat? Elamai. It's a tifer in the kiddah. There's a kesher from Yid to the Eibishter through Torah mitzvah. But there's a kesher from the Eibishter through tshuva. That a person feels that he needs to do tshuva. So that's from a deeper place on the Yid, more than the Torah mitzvahs. And because it comes from a tifer platz, it wakes up by the Eibishter, the tifere connection from the Eibishter to the Yid. Like the Yid, the tshuva. How did it happen to tshuva from the Yid? There's a lot of times a Yid learns about tshuva. He Here's a drusha about tshuva. A lot of times, Tom, he wakes up in the morning and says, I need to become a better yid. What's pshat? Because it comes from a deep place where he feels, I want to become connected to Eibishter. Oy bazoi, that wakes up by the Eibishter, a deeper place, the connection from the Eibishter to the yid. And because that could be masaker. What you didn't do in mitzvah, you did avera. The kivin shemavritz shi megal od ma'atzin kashem nim sekresh baruch hu harei poil shi yikein gam mitzad ma'al shemizgalas dargas is kasha muka ben ekresh baruch v'yisrael ash kiyem es tome ben pil asudam. The mitzad is kasha zi av m'pogm od mitzvah zi mochas like ekresh baruch hu. Because the Yid woke up a tifer kesher from himself to the Eibishter, and woke up by the Eibishter a tifer kesher from the Eibishter to the Yid. Now he's going to explain what's geht for the shuna. But the shuna is even more than that. That's in from Malchus. So he's going to explain. Avoid the Sachtoris HaMelech, Misgalus, Dargis, Hiskashis, Nalav, Amiko, Yois. He says, steht in Zoy, Asher Shaychisam, She Hisorerus Bochum, Boifen the Yisroel, V'ketshbrichi Kelechad. Hisorerus Bochum, Tzias Achas. But Advurim Yudim, Shezem Tzad, and Neshama Lakis, She Chelik Kelekam, Yemal Mamash, because every Yid has a part from the Eibishter. Remember, Neshama im Hisorerus, and Neshama is a part, a chaylik from the Eibishter. And man dig Melazem, Avi Ben. Yeah, there's an Eved in the whatever in the Balabos, and then there's a father and a son. Sheshechis and there's them. It's at etzem mitzios and the etzem. The kiyum sheskash zi nalas. Shloi be'erech minifan eskashis. Sheniskiri la'el. Hashem bo'ivin she'odum nis la'atzmoi. Nifrid meleki. Rashi yeshudom ma'ayim kash gvuchi. Loim bo eskash liebe mitzrei liebe in yeshechitz lu'udom. Shayudim eskash gvuchi. And our eskash yeshiva. So he explains as well. We said now there's Torah mitzvahs, Shuvo, and then there's Binyan Malchus HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it says a gewaldig in the Kibbutz. What's the name for Malchus? Malchus meaning that there's a deeper connection between the Yid and the Eibishter, more than Torah mitzvahs. The Heini. Torah mitzvahs we say there's the Eibishter Kaviyachol and there's the Yid. Two separate things. Yid does a mitzvah, puts tvil, is mekash himself from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Chashem does avera, he rips himself off from the Eibishter. Then we said there's the inyan from tshuva. If tshuva could be mesaken, what you did avera, or Hashem you didn't do a mitzvah, so tshuva is a higher level. So we explain why it's a higher level, because tshuva comes from a more pnimis place on the yid, so wakes up kaviyach the pnimis place on the Eibishter. But then there's the inyan from tamlechin elechem. So he's going to explain what's pshat from tamlechin elechem. Tamlechin elechem is like a father and a son. So he says, "Mash eikem eskash eschinu ve'atu." Mizgal הקשר עצמי שמצד עצם הנשום שחלק אלוקי ממעל המציאות שיסוי חלק מציאס. That thing that he comes to Shuna and Shul and he screams out a melech, that wakes up the kesher from a yid, not a kesher from a yid and the Eibishter separate. The chelik that the yid is one with the Eibishter. He has a neshama, mitzad the neshama, he's one with the Eibishter. The kitchen brichi v'Yisrael chadu steht in Zohar Kodesh. The inyan of Malchus, how? So he's going to explain, we'll say that the kitzah, we'll say the kitzah. We know that the inyan from Tamlechin. So the Hain, a person comes, let's say, into America, yeah? Comes to America, and there's a Malchus already. So if he does anything against the Malchus, so he's doing something against the Malchus, but the Malchus is already there. We said now, the Riyah Kudish says, that every Rosh Hashana comes Rosh Hashana by night, and the Welt is fachalish. The Eibishter sagt, I'm not interested to have the informations. I'm not interested. And not only that, the Mekatrigim come and say, Eibishter, give it up. Yeah, Lozo, Didl, batched up. So again, so come to the Shuna Banach and the Yid understands, from now on, I'm not sure. It's going to be a Malchus and Eibishter, I'm not sure. Kim to Yid, and Yid says, no, I need you. Eibishter, without you, I'm not here. Ich kann nicht. I Yid is going to say, what do you mean? Why? If the Eibishter doesn't want, okay, I also don't want. Yeah, if Chazashum, the person is going to say for a person and comes to Medina, and he says, listen, in this Medina, you can do whatever you want. The Eibishter will nicht sein Melech. I'm going to say, I also don't want to be Melech. I want, you should be Melech. What's pshat that a Yid comes to Shil and says, he screams, he takes the whole 48 hours of the Shuna, and one thing, Shoifri, Tamlechin Aleichem. A ganze Zeit, he says, I want you. If the Eibishter look at Shulem Banach, I'm not interested in you. Kaviochel, the Yid would say, okay, you're not interested. Food you gotta give us because we're here in this world. You gotta give us gashmis. But you, if you want to be melech, zah melech. I should scream out that you should be melech. But the Metzias is, in the ganze Welt, every Yid, wherever he is, he comes to shul, even the Watzdi Yid, the Freiste Yid, he comes to shul and screams melech. And he says blow shofar because he wants Eibush to be melech. From wie kommt es? From where does that come that he has such a tzemoyim that I want you should be melech? From wie kommt es? That comes because you kitchu b'richi v'Yisrael kilechad. Like we said, there's the avodah from Torah mitzvahs. The Eibush separate, the Yid separate. How do we connect with the Eibush from Torah mitzvahs? Then we said there's a high madraga tshiva. Tshiva is a high madraga. How tshiva is my high madraga? Because we come from a pnimistic part from a Yid that he wants to be close to the Eibush. And that wakes up, but the Eibush, the pnimistic part, he wants to be close to the Yid. But much more than that is how the Yid with the Eibush want. How do we see it? We see it through Hachtaras HaMelech. A Yid comes to shul and says, whatever, I don't care, whatever, Eibush, I want one thing. Tamlechini Aleichem, I want you should be my Melech. I want you. He screams out with the ganze Herz, with the ganze Kavuna. Steht from the Baal Shem Tov. Shem Tov was a mushal that was a Ben Melech, and he went whatever. The Melech sent him away, and he was far, and he lost all his clothing and alles. He lost everything. And years passed, he forgot even how to speak the language of a Ben Melech. And he came after years, 40, 50 years. He came back and he wanted to come back close to the Melech. So he came to the city and said, I'm the kid, the son from the Melech, I'm the Ben Melech. And I said, well, you rip clothing, you don't speak as a Ben Melech. So he came closer to the palace and started saying, I'm the Ben Melech. Everyone threw him away, said, you can't go inside. Then he found some window behind the Melech's palace. And he started screaming without words. He started screaming. And the Melech heard and says, what is it? The voice sounds like my voice. He's for sure my son. It was without words. He didn't look like him. He didn't anything. But he sounds like me. Oh, he sounds to me. The voice. Oh, he's my Ben Melech. And the Melech ran out and brought him in and came back. Zog the Baal Shem Tov. That's the inning from shofar. Shofar is without any words. We scream out, Eibush, we're one with you. We're one with you. I want you because you should be my Melech. Because we're one. Without any cheshboinus, without tshiva, without mitzvahs, without anything. I want to be one with you. I want you should be my Melech. And that's the Irkir Avoyah from Tamlechin Aleichem, the whole Avoyah from Shofar, the whole Avoyah from everything. More than tshuva, more than Torah mitzvahs, everything that's Tamlechin Aleichem. That a Yid comes to Shil, Rosh Hashana, and he screams out, HaMelech, I want you should be Melech. And the Medrash also very ähnlich to the words of Baal Shem Tov. The Medrash writes that also the Melech was sent away and years passed, and the Melech said, and he came to the palace, and they sent him away. Pink one time the Melech came out and he ran. So the Melech said, what do you mean? His face looks like my face. He's my son. So the Yidden is always that. When the Katrigen come before the Shuna start screaming, the Yidden batched up the whole year, they're not interested. And the Melech said, but he looks like me. How can we wake up that connection with the Eibishter? That through our avodah we come to Shil and we scream out to Melech. And that's the avodah from Rosh Hashana. That's why the Ikar avodah from Rosh Hashana is that. Because we're waking up a connection from a son to father, a father to a son. Much more than Eibishter to Yid, Tshuva even more. But we're waking up much more thing. Avi Ben la'av. That we're waking up. If you bring me the Eibishter Malchus, you're thinking about Eibishter, like we said, Ahava, Tshuva comes, Mamela. The Mamela comes Tshuva. Like we said, Tshuva Ma'ava, Zadonis Nasa Kazochias. Because we want you should be Melech. That a father to son, if you're waking up that connection, Avada, the Eibishter Mashpiyah Vayid, whatever he needs, Gashmis, Seruchmis, whatever he needs, because you're waking up that connection. A father wants to give for a son the best connection, the best Allah Shpuas. That's how I avoid the Eibishter Kamu Shuzzoicha, B'yedika Poki Ata V'Altoi, Yovim Koyitzika, B'Yitzayat, it should be Zoicha to bin Namalchus, Zoicha the Emes of bin Namalchus, the Bees going to say, Amen.
Amen. Oh, yeah.